Hey, what is up, everybody? I am going to be doing my first live draft on stream tonight, so I hope that glare isn't bothering you too much. I'm going to bring this down a little bit, but yeah, guys, I'm going to be doing my first live stream, hopefully my first live stream draft, and hopefully you guys can get in here for it. So I'm going to be sort of figuring this out as I go, and let's see here. Share screen, Underdog Fantasy Lobby. We're going to share that. And we are going to go over to the Puppy But Superflex. Okay. And we are going to get in this Puppy But Superflex. And let's get it going. So, I'm going to be doing my best to answer fantasy football questions during this video. However, I am going to be focused on the draft and trying to draft the best team possible to kind of show you guys, how I go about things in these drafts and kind of what my thought process is and kind of how I approach best ball, because I've never filmed a best ball draft. So, like, here we go. I'm going to be doing it for the first time, and I'm going to be focused on my picks. However, I'm going to be doing my best to answer your fantasy football questions as well. So let's get this going. And let's see here. Welcome into the stream, everybody. Good to have you guys. Hopefully you can make it into the live stream today. I'm obviously live streaming way earlier than I normally do. So, we're getting in here a little early, but yeah, it's going to be fun. Let's draft the team. Let's win money. My goal this year is to catch is to post a live stream in which I draft one of the winning teams or one of the teams that finishes very, very highly. I'm already 124 drafts deep on Underdog, but this is my first live stream of a draft, and I want to get the winning draft on the live stream this year in one of these tournaments. Doesn't have to be Best Ball Mania. Doesn't have to be any particular tournament. I just want to win a tournament on a live stream and get the winning tournament on a live stream, or at least a tournament in where I finish very high on a live stream. So welcome in, guys. Thanks for coming in, and let's get it. Let's crush this draft. I know it's a little bit early. So as you see, Superflex quarterbacks are going to go off the board first. I have the 1.9. What I'm really hoping is that Mahomes slips to the 1.9, because if Mahomes slips to the 1.9, I am going to be taking Patrick Mahomes. I like to start my Superflex drafts with quarterbacks because they're the most important position in Superflex. But, we're going to see. I'm going to adjust as we go and draft the best player available. So file on in, guys. If you're catching this later, that's cool. If you're catching it live, that's even better. I am going to be drafting my first best ball team on camera ever. So this should be fun. All right. So Joe Burrow goes. Hopefully this guy doesn't take Pat Mahomes, but we're going to have to see. Doesn't take Pat Mahomes. I think we're going to go ahead and click the Pat Mahomes button here. I think it makes by far and away the most sense. Starting with a quarterback that's going to explode in a super flex is a pretty good deal. So we're going to be drafting Pat Mahomes, and we're going to see what comes back around to us. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm on a 20-second clock. So, yeah, I like the 20-second clocks. They're just so much faster. Let's check what do we got here? So we're 3 picks away. Looks like we're going to have a shot at another quarterback. The quarterbacks really, man, the position players are going quick. And a lot of the quarterbacks are actually lasting. So I don't want to take Baker Mayfield. I really don't want to take Bo Nix all that much. I started a lot of my teams with Patrick Mahomes and Ashton Genty. So, kind of want to do something different. Just, okay. I think we're going to reach here and go with, man, that's tough. Let's go ahead and let's get Puka. Almost timed out on him there, but we're going to go ahead and start our team with an elite wide receiver. And hey, Jamie, what's going on, man? Good to have you in here. We are doing a live best ball draft. So I'm going to be doing a lot of these between now and the time the season comes. So we're going to be crushing it. My goal is to get one of the winning teams that I have this year on Underdog on a live stream. That's the goal. This is my 125th Underdog draft on the season. This was my first time live streaming one ever. So yes, a ton of the puppy, but Superflex. Yeah, I mean, like, it's a pretty popular draft. I mean, it's definitely fun. It's definitely different. You get to go out and, you get to draft quarterbacks early. Quarterbacks are, like, they're exciting positions, and I mean, I don't know. I think it's fun to mix up a team and, take quarterbacks early. And in Superflex drafts, quarterbacks, all the best quarterbacks go off the board in round one. Josh Allen is the consensus 101 pick. So, I noticed that quarterbacks and running backs go heavy early. So we obviously know why quarterbacks go early because, you can use a quarterback as your flex. So naturally quarterbacks are going to be going way early. The reason that running backs are going so early is because you only have to play 2 wide receivers in this format. So instead of the standard 3 wide receiver format, we're playing in the we're playing a 2 wide receiver, 2 running back format. So some people think it's a better strategy, a more viable strategy, and just smarter overall to go with running back early because running backs technically have a higher ceiling than wide receivers still. But it's just a matter of how you want to construct your roster. Yeah, and the scarcity of running backs for sure. So we are going to be up in 6 picks. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be looking at. So I've noticed in this draft that a lot of the quarterbacks are actually staying on the board longer than usual. I like to usually get a second elite quarterback out of, one of my first 3 picks. So I'm going to be taking a second elite quarterback here if I can, but it totally depends who slips. And we could always draft a position player, but it's going to depend on who's on the board, File on in, guys. Ask away with your fantasy football questions. I'm going to be doing my best to answer fantasy questions while I do this draft, but I am multitasking here, so, I'm going to do my best to do both. Jared Goff's still on the board. Herbert's still on the board. I don't really like Drake London at ADP. I already have an elite running back. Don't need Jonathan Taylor. I think I can wait on him, and I think that Justin Herbert is going to outperform expectations, so I'm going to go ahead and draft Justin Herbert here. Let's not forget that there was a certain time where Justin Herbert was projected to be the top quarterback in fantasy. I mean, it was 4 seasons ago, I believe, that Justin Herbert was projected to finish ahead of Patrick Mahomes, to finish ahead of everybody, and he was going as the number 2 quarterback off the board in fantasy drafts. This dude has tremendous upside. We just need to see the offense that we know is a run-heavy offense kind of revert back to passing the ball a little bit more. They don't have J.K. Dobbins anymore, although, they obviously added other running backs. But I think that he's going to cut Justin Herbert loose a little bit more this year and allow him to pass the ball. File on in, guys. We're doing a fantasy draft. Ask away with your fantasy football questions, and let's get this going. All right, I'm 3 picks away. We have 2 elite quarterbacks. We have a stud wide receiver, and man, it's going to look like it's going to be pretty hard for me to not stack Ladd McConkey with Justin Herbert. Obviously, quarterback wide receiver stacks are tremendously important in this format. So, man. But at the same time, Jonathan Taylor slipping past his ADP, that's tough. That's really, really tough. We do start 2 running backs in this format. We have opportunities to stack later with Patrick Mahomes. I think we're going to actually go ahead and take Jonathan Taylor right here. Too good of a value to pass up. I obviously wanted to stack Herbert with Ladd McConkey and go ahead and get that Herbert-McConkey stack. But I also don't like reaching on my stacks, and Jonathan Taylor is an elite running back in a format that we only start 2 wide receivers, so running backs are exponentially more valuable in this format. So I figured go ahead and take Jonathan Taylor. Appreciate you guys tuning into the video. We are drafting live. I'm hoping to I really want to catch one of my I want to win a big major tournament this year, and I want to catch it on a live stream. That's my goal here. So, if you guys haven't already, like the video, file on in, ask away with all your fantasy football questions. We are doing a puppy butt super flex today, and I am going to be drafting an elite fantasy team. And we're going to be finishing high in this tournament, guys. I'm telling you right now. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to happen with this draft, but I have 124 best ball teams already on Underdog. I'm going to be drafting a hell of a lot more teams all off season this year. So, we're going to get the winning team on live stream. I have a feeling. All righty, we're 10 picks away. We have 2 elite quarterbacks. We have an elite wide receiver and a very good running back in Jonathan Taylor. So from a roster construction standpoint, very much of what my next pick is going to be depending on trying to get some correlation with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. But we're going to see where everybody falls. I don't think we're going to get lucky enough to get Rashee Rice because, man, he is creeping up draft boards. But, hey, he's down here. He's 7 picks away. There's certainly a possibility. Well, actually, looking at it, I think we could get Rashee Rice because most teams that are drafting Rashee Rice are Mahomes teams, and we have Mahomes. So I think there's actually a decent chance of Rice slipping to us. J Money, what up? How you doing, bro? Well, I better stop drafting these if you're going to win. Nah, man, come on, man. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm just talking mess, dude. It's best ball. It's a large field tournament. They're not easy to win, but like the biggest advantage I'm giving myself is just drafting a ridiculous amount of these teams. I mean, I'm 125 teams deep after this draft, and I'm just really getting started. We're 3 months away from the season. This is when I really start to draft fantasy teams. So maybe you can get first and I can get second. I'd be totally fine with that. All righty, so we're 1 pick away. Rashee Rice goes. What a dick. Somebody already took the player I wanted. We do have some decent quarterback options here. I don't really want to reach on Tyreek Hill. I don't really want to reach on, let's see. I think what we could do is we could draft Cam Ward and we could backstack him with Calvin Ridley. Unless Ridley already went off the board. No, Ridley didn't go off the board. This provides us some stacking options later. So I think we're going to go ahead and take Cam Ward here. So we've got 3 quarterbacks. We're pretty much done drafting quarterbacks in this draft. I think that we have some pretty freaking high upside, but we're going to need to get some correlation with these quarterbacks later on down the road in this draft. Mahomes, Herbert, Cam Ward. I love that start. Jonathan Taylor, Puka Nacua. Great start to the draft. Great start to the draft. But let's go ahead and try to find some correlation and get some quarterback wide receiver stacks going. But I don't want to reach too much on them at the same time. Tyreek Hill is starting to slip down draft boards, guys, just because if you haven't noticed, pretty much every fantasy football content creator is telling you not to draft Tyreek Hill. I wouldn't be surprised if Tyreek Hill was like a back end of round 3 draft pick by the end of the offseason because everyone seems to be avoiding him now, and his ADP is slipping massively. He was a round 2 pick to start the offseason in best ball. All righty, we are 3 picks away. We're looking for some correlation, but we might have to find it a little bit later on down the road. We have 1 wide receiver. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Mike Evans, Tyreek. Man, JSN, he was going to be my pick, to be honest with you guys. George Kittle has a lead upside at the tight end position, but we already drafted 3 quarterbacks early. We need more of the main pass catching positions. Yeah, we're going to go Mike Evans. I needed another wide receiver that provides me elite weekly upside because, as you know, in these tournaments, you have to have a tremendously high weekly ceiling to win in week 17. So I went ahead and drafted Mike Evans because he has still some of the highest weekly upside of any wide receiver in fantasy. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning on in. What do you think about Trey Harris value later stack with Herbert? I think it's fine, but I'm not necessarily excited about this stack. There's the whole notion that Trey Harris is going to take Quentin Johnston's spot and everything like that. But, I just don't know, man. I don't think Trey Harris is necessarily going to have that big of a rookie year. But if you're betting on the Chargers offense and you're betting on Justin Herbert, you do have to bet on their pass catchers. So considering the other players in that range aren't that great either, I don't mind taking some Herbert, Trey Harris stacks, but I wouldn't necessarily get too excited about it. Dang, I'm too broke to max out. That's all right, man. You don't have to max out every tournament, man. Like, it's like I don't have 125 Puppy but Superflex teams. I'm talking about I have 125 best ball teams in total, starting from pre-draft best ball in every tournament combined. So I don't know, man. You don't have to max out every tournament. Most people don't. I usually don't max them out unless it's like a 5 max or a 20 max or something like that. I'll max those out. But typically, if there's 150 teams available to draft, I usually don't max those drafts out. I try to get as close as possible when I can, but 150 teams in one tournament, that's a lot. All righty, so we have some pretty darn good wide receivers on this squad, but we don't have any correlation yet. I'm not worried about that. I know that we're going to get stacks at some point. I don't like to force my stacks like a lot of people do. I like to get them at value because I'm shooting for the moon here, and I'm trying to win this thing. So I want players to slip to me, and it looks like we'll be able to get Calvin Ridley to stack with Cam Ward. That's one of my favorite freaking stacks in Superflex because of the value that you're getting both players at. But we're going to see how the ADP lines up. We're going to see if Calvin Ridley is an appropriate pick based on what we're looking at with the draft board, because there might be some wide receivers that we need to take ahead of them, even though they're unstacked. So we're going to see about that here. Cam Ward, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. It looks like we're definitely, I don't want to say for sure, but we're probably going to be taking a wide receiver with this pick. I am drafting from the 1.9. I own Cam Ward, so there's a decent chance that if I draft another player here, Calvin Ridley will slip back to me. So I think that that's more of the play as opposed to reaching on him. Tetaroa McMillan is slipping 10 spots past his ADP. We are going to have to take Tetaroa McMillan. I don't think there's much of a choice here. Or do we take David? You know what? We're going to take David Montgomery because I want to take Calvin Ridley with my next pick, and we need running backs. So I'm really hoping that Calvin Ridley slips back to me based on where he's going ADP-wise and the fact that we have Cam Ward. I think that there's a good chance that he slips back to me, but you never know. People reach for players they like in these drafts, so we're going to have to see. Plus, I can stack Herbert with Quentin Johnson or Trey Harris. I can stack Mahomes with Kelsey. I can stack Mahomes with Hollywood Brown. We still have a lot of options as far as getting correlation on our team. But I think by far and away the best play would be to have Calvin Ridley with our next pick. Let's see here. I'll get around to you guys' questions here in a second. I just want to focus on this pick real quick. Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Cam Ward, Aaron Jones. Don't be a dick and pick Calvin Ridley somehow. I highly doubt he's going to do that. I think we should be able to get him. All righty, so we're going to get the first piece of correlation with our team. We're going to go ahead and stack Cam Ward with Calvin Ridley. I absolutely love this stack for best ball purposes. All righty, you think Kamara could see 100-plus targets this year? 100-plus targets, that's a lot, man. I don't know about 100-plus, bro. I don't know about 100-plus. But, if you look at the offense, obviously, you figure Show is going to be checking the ball down, however the hell you say his name, is going to be checking the ball down a decent amount. So can the target share be up there? Yes. 100-plus targets. I don't know. That's tough, man. That's tough. Ask away with your fantasy football questions, guys. Ask as many questions as possible. I'm 11 picks away, so I'm definitely going to be taking the majority of my questions right now. We are drafting a puppy but Superflex best ball team. We've already got a very good team, if I will say so myself. We've got 3 stud quarterbacks. We've got Calvin Ridley stacked with Cam Ward. We've got Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery. So a pretty good running back stable here. I definitely like the team so far, and my goal this year is to get the winning team on a live stream so you guys can kind of see how my thought process goes with these drafts. I've had a good amount of success on underdog drafts, although I have not won a major tournament yet. They are very hard to win, but this year I'm putting in the volume, I'm putting in the research, I'm putting in the work. I'm more experienced than I was when I first started playing basketball, so I think I have a good chance to potentially cash first in a major tournament this year. And if I don't, I at least want one of you guys to. So I just figured this video would help a little bit with how I draft best ball teams and kind of how my thought process goes. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Ask away with your fantasy football questions. Ask as many questions as you possibly can. And let's see here. We are 6 picks away. We're pretty stacked. I mean, I don't want to say stacked at wide receiver, but we got a good wide receiver core. In this format, we are only going to be starting 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. So the running back position in this format is just as important as the wide receiver position. This typically pushes wide receivers down a little bit in this format, but I still love to have an awesome wide receiver stable. We don't have a tight end yet, but this is Superflex. You can play a quarterback at your flex position. And as you see, I have 3 very good quarterbacks right here. I have Cam Ward stacked with Calvin Ridley for some correlation. And I have Jonathan Taylor and David Montgomery, 2 pretty darn good running backs here. So I like the team so far, and we are going to continue to try to make this team as good as possible. All right, we are 2 picks away. We've got a bunch of wide receivers at the top here, and we're probably going to be taking a wide receiver based on how the ADP lines up here. Jordan Addison, Jerry Jeudy. Everybody knows Jerry Jeudy is one of my favorite picks in fantasy. Jordan Addison, however, does play in a much better offense with a little bit more sure of a quarterback. Doesn't matter. I'm going to be I almost want to mix it up and take Roma Dunze just because I have so few shares of him. But you know what? No, we're going to go ahead and go Jordan Addison here. We're going to go Jordan Addison. He's at the top of ADP, and, he displayed a tremendously high weekly ceiling last year. As much as I love Jerry Jeudy, I'm starting to draft him a little bit too much, especially considering the fact that he really isn't in a good offense. So love Jerry Jeudy. He's one of my most owned players on Underdog. I love drafting him in Superflex, but we're going to go ahead and mix it up and take Jordan Addison here. Okay. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Yeah, like the video, guys. Appreciate you coming in. Thanks for joining the live stream, and we are going to continue to draft the best ball team possible here. We've got 3 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, and 4 wide receivers. Pretty standard roster construction given the way I draft, even in Superflex. I do love my wide receivers, so if Jordan Mason slips to us, we're probably going to be taking Jordan Mason. I think he's one of the best handcuffs in fantasy, especially given the fact that, this guy's going to take Jordan Mason. I know, and he only has 2 running backs. He doesn't. We are going to take Jordan Mason. So I love this pick, guys, because Jordan Mason is going to have a role right out of the gate. It's already been said that he is going to receive a ton of goal line work. Aaron Jones, in recent years in his career, really hasn't been that much of a goal line back. They a lot of times use other backs when in goal-to-go situations. So Jordan Mason is going to have that role right out of the gate. And we know that, Aaron Jones is injury-prone. Right? So Jordan Mason could come in and end up being the lead back with absolutely no competition for touches if Aaron Jones goes down. And Aaron Jones, great player, but Jordan Mason's a great handcuff. We get a little bit more correlation with the Vikings offense as well. We have Jordan Addison and Jordan Mason. So pretty cool there. All right, guys, like the video, ask away with the fantasy football questions, and let's blow this thing up. And we are 11 picks away, so any fantasy football questions you might have right now, I'll be able to answer them more so than when I'm closer to being on the clock. But let's go ahead and check out my roster construction. So 3 quarterbacks, Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Cam Ward. Love that. Good running back room, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, Jordan Mason. Very balanced team. Puka Nacua, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, Jordan Addison. We've got a pretty good team so far. We're obviously going to need to draft a tight end at some point, but anybody that knows how I play best ball knows that a lot of times I wait on tight ends. I wouldn't mind stacking Mahomes with Travis Kelce if we get a chance here. And if, where is Travis Kelce going ADP? Did Kelce already go? Did Kelce already go? No. Kelce's still on. No, Kelce already went. Kelce already went. Or did he? Anyways, we're going to see who the best draft pick possible is when it comes back around to us. It looks like we're going to have some good options at running back. Javonte Williams is my most owned player on Underdog Fantasy right now. I think I'm a little bit overexposed to Javonte Williams, so we might not be drafting him. 2 picks away here. We're looking at Charbonnet. We're looking at Tootin. Tootin obviously gives you that explosiveness and that extreme, big playability. But to me, Charbonnet is so much more reliable. We're going to go with Zach Charbonnet here. So Zach Charbonnet is going to be our fourth running back, which I really think should be the standard. If you're drafting Zach Charbonnet, he should be your running back 4 or higher because, well, he's not really getting a starting role right out of the gate, nor is he necessarily going to be a goal line back. So unless Kenneth Walker gets hurt, Zach Charbonnet really doesn't have that much usability. But if Zach Charbonnet gets to take over the lead role because, that's what's going to happen if Walker does go down, well, Zach Charbonnet is going to absolutely explode. We've seen it already. All right, guys, let's go with your fantasy football questions. We are 2 picks away. It's coming right back around to us. Ooh, Trey Harris. You asked earlier about the Trey Harris and Justin Herbert stack. I think it makes sense to draft Trey Harris right here, doesn't it? We had Justin Herbert. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take Trey Harris. So, obviously, there's a lot of question marks in this wide receiver room. So I don't know, but we're trying to stack as much as possible. Stacking is tremendously important, especially in Superflex formats. So considering that my Justin Herbert receiver was sitting there at the top of ADP, I think it makes total sense to take him. We already have 4 running backs. We are going to need to draft a tight end at some point, but I'm not necessarily in too much of a rush. I can always just draft 3 tight ends at the very end of this draft and go about it that way, but we're going to see how it works. Appreciate you guys tuning in, guys. Ask away with your fantasy football questions. I like Trey Harris for that deep threat. And, and obviously, I mean, so do I, Jamie, especially because of the fact that, well, Justin Herbert's still one of the best deep ball throwers in the entire NFL. All right, guys, ask away with your fantasy football questions. We are drafting a puppy butt Superflex team. If you're new and just got in and you haven't seen this yet, here is my team so far. We're looking at Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Cam Ward, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, Jordan Mason, Zach Charbonnet, Puka Nacua, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, Jordan Addison, Trey Harris at wide receiver. So we've got Cam Ward stacked with Calvin Ridley. We've got Justin Herbert stacked with Trey Harris. So some pretty good correlation on the team so far. We are 5 picks away, so let's see what we're looking at. Rashad Bateman, if you guys haven't seen already, does get an extension. See here, Ravens signed to 3-year extension. The dude actually got a pretty decent bag. I think it's something like $20 million a year or something like that. So these wide receivers are getting paid like crazy now. Even players that aren't the number 1 wide receiver on their team are getting a shit ton of money. Good for them, but, I would rather stream fantasy football videos than play in the league anyway. So, whatever. 1 pick away. Oh my gosh, I think we're going to have to take Jake Ferguson, aren't we? This guy right here is one of the best values at the tight end position in the entire draft. Much like the Chiefs offense, the Cowboys offense is one of the most undervalued offenses in all fantasy drafts. I mean, obviously you had to take CeeDee Lamb in the first round, but Dak Prescott is a tremendous value. Pickens is a tremendous value. So there's a lot of tremendous values in the Cowboys offense. Jake Ferguson is definitely one of them. And it'd be cool if we could stack him with Dak Prescott, but we have plenty of correlation. So at this point, we're just drafting the best team possible. We really don't have to have any more quarterback wide receiver stacks, although if we see a good opportunity to get one, we will. Michael Pittman, Cortland Sutton, or Chris Olave, who is the best value at ADP? Well, from a ceiling standpoint, it's Chris Olave because he has the highest upside out of all 3 players. Like Michael Pittman isn't going to come out and be a top 10 receiver in fantasy. It's not going to happen. Chris Olave does have that upside, but the problem is Chris Olave is very risky because we're not sure on the quarterback situation. So when it comes to Cortland Sutton, he's a lot safer. And I think he has a little bit more of that upside. So, but you definitely have to draft him earlier. I'm going to slightly lean in the favor of Chris Olave, even though he's in a bad offense, because the ceiling is just so freaking high. And, oh gosh, I'm on the clock. What are we doing here? We don't need Dallas Goedert, Shedeur Sanders, Jack Bech. We're going to take Tyler Algier and hope for a Bijan injury. Not saying I hope for injuries, but on this team, a Bijan injury would not be a bad thing. We've got a player that is going to come in and get pretty much the entire workload if Bijan goes down. So this is the point in the draft where you go ahead and start taking handcuff running backs that can become elite running back ones if the running back in front of them goes down, because we're not really getting starting running backs at this point. So We're not really looking for guys that are going to get you instant usability. We're looking for players that are going to go off if the player in front of them goes down. Tyler Algier very much fits that profile because there is nobody behind Tyler Algier on this team that's going to take any touches away if Bijan goes down. If Bijan goes down, Tyler Algier is going to go nuclear. All right, so if you haven't seen my team so far, we're looking at Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Cam Ward, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, see on down the line right there with my running backs. And we've got Cam Ward stacked with Calvin Ridley and Justin Herbert stacked with Trey Harris and Jake Ferguson at tight end. All right, guys, ask away with your fantasy football questions. Ask as many fantasy football questions as you want. What do you think about Hunt or Brashard Smith since you have Mahomes and Pacheco looked bad? Jamie, the only reason Pacheco looked bad is because he was still playing hurt. The dude wasn't 100%. Obviously, the yards per carry efficiency went from like 4.7 to 3.3. His yards per carry efficiency went down tremendously. So I don't really think Pacheco is going to be bad this year. I think he's going to explode. I don't like drafting Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's washed. I want nothing to do with Brashard Smith or Kareem Hunt. I'm all about Isaiah Pacheco this year. Will Deontay Johnson be relevant this year? I mean, it's so hard to know. I mean, we need to see where he, ends up, what kind of role he ends up in. And right now there's just too many question marks. So I really don't know on that. I don't know if Deontay Johnson is going to be relevant at all. We're going to need a little bit more information first. All right, we are 6 picks away. We've already got a really good quarterback stable. We're pretty stacked at every position. We are 14 picks in, meaning we have 6 picks left. And, guys, well, I'm going to wait until after my next 2 picks to talk about that. But I'll get around to that topic that I'm talking about here in 1 second. So we have a chance to double stack Justin Herbert right here, and I think that's what we're going to do. We went ahead and took Trey Harris. Quentin Johnston's sitting here near the top of ADP. We have 5 running backs and 5 wide receivers, so we're already very balanced out at the 2 main positions. I think what by far makes the most sense here is to just go ahead and go in on this Chargers offense. So we have got some really good correlation with Justin Herbert. We've got Justin Herbert stacked with both Trey Harris and Quentin Johnston. If there is a Ladd McConkey injury, my gosh, this team is going to go nuclear because Trey Harris and Quentin Johnston are going to be the guy in the offense, especially with no more Joshua Palmer. So this team has some pretty darn serious upside with that Quentin Johnston pick. I like Quentin Johnston as a late-round pick anyway, so pretty dope. Deontay Johnson did not show up for OTAs today. Yeah, I kind of want to see what role. I don't know, man. I don't know. We're going to have to see. Appreciate you guys tuning into the video, and we're going to keep drafting here. I'm 1 pick away. Quentin Johnson has bricks for hands. I'm not going to disagree with you there, my man. Physical abilities are there, but he does suck at catching the football. Let's go ahead and take another tight end. We are going to go with Zach Ertz. I think he has the most upsides out of all the tight ends in this range. So we got Jake Ferguson and Zach Ertz. Pretty good tight end room here. We are 11, 14, 16 picks deep. So we are going to keep it going. What do y'all think of this team so far? Is it do you think it has a chance to win? I think it has a chance to win. It's not the best team I've drafted. It's not the worst, but make sure to hit the likes on the videos, guys. And while I'm here, I am going to go ahead and post a link to my Patreon right here in the comment section because, well, here's the deal. If you guys are interested in joining a league with us, we are playing in a league this year where it's a $100 buy-in, $800 for first place, and all you have to do to get into the league is join the Patreon. It's $5 to join the Patreon. You get in. You're going to get my top 64 draft rankings, right? I'm going to be adding to that. I'm going to be going 150 deep this year, but my top 64 rankings are already out. What I've done so far, my draft guide is already out, and you get a chance to get in a league with us and play and win some money. There's already 5 people in the Patreon league. We're doing a 10-man league, so it's filling quick. It's going to be filled up within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So if you want to play in the league with us, go ahead and join the Patreon league. It's going to be a hell of a fun time, and you get a chance to win $800 for first. It's $800 for first and $200 for second, 10-man league. It's only a 10-man league. It's not like these best ball drafts where you have a 1 in a million chance of winning. You literally have a mathematical 1 in 10 chance of winning. And if you think you're a superior fantasy football player, then you have more than a 1 in 10 chance of winning. So join the Patreon league. Get you that chance to win $800. The link is right here in the chat. So go ahead and go join the league. And if you join Patreon, I'm also going to give people priority answers to questions. Any fantasy football question you have, you can ask me. I'll get back to you within 24 hours with a very detailed response, more of a detailed response than I could give you in a live stream. All right, we are 4 picks away. 3 picks away now. Our team's projected pretty highly so far. I like this projection. Like projections are fun, right? They don't really necessarily mean all that much, but it is good to draft a lot of teams that are projected for over 3,000. It's just kind of a fun thing to collect 3,000 projection teams. But at the end of the day, projections aren't all that important. So do we go ahead and draft the 3rd tight end here? We do have 3 quarterbacks. I think drafting 3 tight ends is going to be optimal here. I like Dalton Schultz. He's slipping past his ADP. And do we do that or do we go a little bit deeper at wide receiver? We're going to have to draft Chig Okonkwo here, though, because he's going to double stack with Cam Ward. So we're going to go ahead and take Chig Okonkwo, get the double stack. We are double stacked with both of our stacked quarterbacks. We have Justin Herbert with Trey Harris and Quentin Johnson, and then we have Cam Ward with Calvin Ridley and Chig Okonkwo. So we're done drafting tight ends. We're done drafting quarterbacks. We are going to be adding depth for the rest of this draft. And so, yeah, I actually like Dalton Schultz. It's just that with this roster construction, it favors drafting Okonkwo, obviously, because he stacks with one of my wide receivers. We want as much correlation as possible in these Superflex drafts, guys, because, it's more important to stack in this format than it is in any other format because quarterbacks are so incredibly important, and you win this format with quarterback wide receiver stacks. All right, we have, 17 picks already? Okay, so do we add wide receiver depth or do we get running back depth? I think we're going to go ahead and go with Blake Corum here, and if a Kyron Williams injury does occur, we've got ourselves another elite running back 1. So if you look at this team and you look at who we have at running back, we obviously have an ace running back in Jonathan Taylor. We've got a guy in David Montgomery who should score a lot of touchdowns by default. He does it every single year. We've got a guy in Jordan Mason who gives you upside right out of the gate because of his goal line role in the offense. And then we have 3 running backs who need an injury to the running back in front of them. But if they do, all 3 of these guys here are running back 1s in their offense instantaneously, and they all play in offenses that could score a lot of points. So I like my handcuffs in this as well. Don't forget about Roschon Johnson. Yeah, Jamie, I have a decent amount of Roschon Johnson. I wouldn't say that, I'm probably right at market. I'm probably right at 8% with Roschon Johnson. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Ask away with your fantasy football questions. Ask as many fantasy football questions as you want. Ask about any position. I'm going to get at you with an answer. And you see here the link to the Patreon league. If you want to get in a league with us this year, join the Patreon. 5 out of the 10 slots are already filled. And within the next 2 to 3 weeks, the Patreon league is going to be full. We're going to be drafting on August 3rd. It's a $100 buy-in, $800 for first. So if you want to come in and win $800 in our fantasy league, go ahead and join the Patreon. We're going to be blowing this thing up this year. You're also going to get access to my top 64 rankings. I'm going to be adding to that. We're going to be going as deep as 150 rankings this year. All right, we are 8 picks away, so we're going to see here in a second what we're going to do with our draft. But go ahead and ask your fantasy football questions, guys. I will answer any and all fantasy football questions while on here. Welcome into the chat, everybody. We are drafting a puppy but super flex team, and we've got a stacked team here, guys. If you look at the correlation, it's pretty awesome, right? We've got Justin Herbert stacked with Trey Harris and Quentin Johnson. We've got Cam Ward stacked with Calvin Ridley and Chig Okonkwo. I absolutely love this team so far. We're going to be projected for well over 3,000 points, so that's pretty cool. We have 2 more draft slots left, and let's go ahead and crush the rest of this draft. We're 2 slots away. We have 6 wide receivers, 6 running backs. We're not going to be drafting any more quarterbacks. We're not going to be drafting any more tight ends. So we're going to probably be adding 1 receiver and 1 running back. So, or we're going to be potentially just adding 2 more receivers. We're going to see how it plays out. Andre Yoshivas slipping well past ADP. We could get more correlation with Tyler Lockett, but that's almost too much. Let's go ahead and go with Adonai. No, we're going to go Yoshivas. We're going to go Yoshivas. Obviously, Yoshivas is buried on the depth chart between Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but to me, he's a good depth piece because of just playing in such a unbelievable offense. So we're going to be taking Andre Yoshivas here. We are 5 picks away. Guys, if you're just getting into the stream, we're doing a puppy but Superflex draft. We are adding as much depth as possible at this point because we already have our correlation. We already have a super stacked team. We're already projected for over 3,000 points, and we have 1 player left. Should we draft a running back? Should we draft a wide receiver? You guys let me know in the chat who you think I should go with here with the late round flyer. And, maybe we'll pick the right guy that wins us $100,000 in this tournament. Who do you guys think I should pick here? Yeah, 2 picks away. 1 pick away. Man, Tyler Lockett slipping well past his ADP. We could go all in on that's tempting. And considering the fact that we got Yoshivas, Lockett slipping way past his ADP, let's just go ahead and go all in on Tennessee. If Tennessee has a crazy year, God, that's just crazy though because, man. All right, we're going to go Tyler Lockett. All right, guys, so this is what our team ends up looking like. We're projected for 3,089 points. Pretty solid projection there. Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Cam Moore, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, Jordan Mason, Zach Charbonnet, Algier Corum, Puka Evans, Ridley, Jordan Addison, Harris, Johnson, Yoshivas, Tyler Lockett, Ferguson, Zach Ertz, Okonkwo. So pretty good team. I'm going to be sticking around and answering some fantasy football questions if y'all are interested in asking anything, but that's it for the live draft. I hope this live draft kind of helped you guys see how I draft fantasy teams, see how I approach best ball drafts. I'm very confident in this team right here to do well in a super flex format. We've got 6 running backs and 8 wide receivers. I love the construction. I love the correlation. So any fantasy football questions y'all might have, go ahead. But we're done with the live draft. All righty, guys. There's not a whole lot of people in here, so I'm probably going to be getting on out of here, but hopefully a lot of you guys catch this later. I appreciate you guys who tuned into the live stream, and I'll catch you later.